Well, greetings. I probably should check the sound, make sure that's okay. I'm not sure I got no schmutz on my face. I got schmutz on my face. Didn't shave this morning. Didn't really need to. Well, I need to. I can feel it and I can see it. I'm going to read a few things for you tonight. Um, boy, some people just need to, like, be stupid. If you don't understand something, ask. Don't just read something into it because you didn't you got triggered by a word or you've been fed a whole mess of bullshit about somebody that you believe. I have a couple of stressful moments today. Trans Army is a medium-sized group with about 7,500 members. It's owned by a Brit, nice person, interesting outlook, and they moderate the group pretty well. Doesn't get too far out of hand, usually. This didn't even get too far out of hand. This is asking for it. It's a British group, and it seems that in Britain, because of the Gender Recognition Act reformation the last couple of years, the gender critical argument has been, I don't know. Maybe it's because it's smaller and not so spread out as the United States, and we have very well-defined advocates and groups that are dealing with the courtroom and legislative chamber issues. And I don't know, maybe I don't participate in those forums so much. We're the nice people that are just trying to live our lives and lay out the real facts, evidence-based materials to counter all this ridiculous shit that lies around about us. Anyway, nobody's even here. Oh well, that's okay. We'll have the recording. So here's a person. Why is it I see so many trans people hating on other trans people? Not that hating in any form is good, but aren't we supposed to lift each other up? Answer the questions we're not sure of. Offer advice when somebody needs it. I doubt if anybody in this group needs any more hate than what they've already gotten. So this was about the infighting. And they were going off on some, let's see, they're going off on trauma and gatekeeping. Yeah, the gatekeeping. Maladaptive coping techniques. This is an interesting perspective. The internalized transphobia is a problem. There's trans meds and Truscombe gatekeeping. This is Mila McKay. This is the one that went off on me. This was their comment. Depends on what you mean by hate, like trans meds and Truscombe gatekeeping. What is it to be trans? That's something every minority group faces. Some of our siblings survive by pandering to our oppressors' beliefs. If you mean people defending themselves against trans meds and Truscombes, then we need to have a bigger discussion. Here's somebody definitely not defending against, absolutely always defend yourself. Someone took their own post down because people were shaming her for simply not knowing something. Yeah, that's something that happens with newly hatched eggs. It's a thing we call closeted trans people. Eggs for some reason. I don't know why. It's cute though. That's the first time I've ever heard it. But they'll get really into the theory and stuff and try to look smart about shaming other fresh ducklings. I recommend people turn those energies toward turfs. It's not healthy to do that to each other, which this person came and did to me immediately. When I opened my mouth, some people are crappy human beings. Being trans does not change that. I remember once meeting a massively racist trans woman. I was kind of shocked. Sadly, now I left surprised when stuff like that happens. I think it's because we're all at different stages. Maybe they're hating on people who are at the end stage where they can accept it more. When you begin the stage, you may be still trying to hide it. I think if everybody were trans to be put in a room, the room would be safe and all would get on because there's a safe place where no one has to hide or lie about themselves. And here comes this Mila person. There are forms of intersectional oppression and bigotry that still exist within our community. So I can be racist to non-white trans people, and straight trans people can be homophobic to me. I can face trans misogyny from trans men as well. None are somehow worse than others. They're all equally bad, but individually, each of us does not face all of them. It's complicated, but there can be hate within our community. We have to be careful to avoid or address when it happens. So here I come in and apologize up front, call myself a sexually conservative boomer, trans femme assigned male at birth, here who grew up in Chicago's neighborhood, but pretended to be a straight cis male up until about 10 years ago with my 2 cents. Transsexuals cause a lot of their own problems, struggling to convince everybody that their need to modify their genitals to bring their sex organs into congruence with their gender identity is something that is not a mental aberration, while insisting that non-binary transgender people are the ones who are invalid. This person, Mila, read what she wanted into it. To a trans medicalist, I'm just a homosexual man pretending to be a woman. And I'm like, bitch, please. I had to suppress innate feminine movement and posturing and hide in baggy clothes to pass as a straight male until I grow a beard. The jocks all want to beat me, fuck me, or both. And here's this fugly thing, all stuffed full of silicone, prancing around in a caricature of femininity, talking in a falsetto voice, calling me a transgender. So what if I'm pretty boots and don't wear dresses, makeup, or wigs? There's no rule book for being queer, you know. And here's Kazam. 1, not all of us can access or want to access operations. 2, you need to stop listening to bigots tell you about your own identity. Read some theory about gender and sex. 3, also read up on the evolving scientific knowledge base of gender. It forms in our brains at age 4, latest age 6. It has nothing to do with your primary or secondary sex characteristic. Thanks for taking the time in the future not to alienate trans people who haven't come out yet. Your work on individual understanding on the social construct of gender will help prevent suicides. I'm on suicide watch for people. I would not try to debate me. I will literally destroy you in a debate. Just a heads up. And this is a homeschooled person. Like, it's like, make me laugh some more. You need to not make assumptions about me and my level of confidence to debate somebody half my age who was homeschooled. Nothing in your statement even related to anything in mine. I created the Science of Sex and Gender Library Group. Do you have an actual point you'd like to debate? To number 1, I'm aware of this as I've been counseling baby trans people on how to access the health care they seek for the past 10 years. 2, you have no idea who I've been listening to or what I've read. This is a totally baseless and flat out insult. 3, so what does this have to do with anything I said? And now she said, you said transsexuals cause a lot of their own problems, struggling to convince everybody their need to modify their genitals to bring he also cut it in half. You know, that's not the whole sentence. The sentence, you know, they cut it in half. This is what I mean by people see what they want to see. They don't get the whole thought. They just get that little nugget that trips their trigger that they want to go off on. It's like, fuck you people. I'm sick of tired of this shit. And I'm really having a tough time, maintaining a gracious uh, response to it. She said, you called trans people an aberration. You called their desires deviant. I said, no, I didn't. You read something into what I said because of severe confirmation bias, likely due to internalized transphobia of your own. Notice I never used the word deviant and phrased the statement as kindly as I could in the face of the argument that transsexuals have had to face for a long time, in a way that did not infer that transsexuals are deviant for desiring that their genitals be modified to match their gender identity. On the contrary, as somebody who has struggled with rape and GED all my life, I'm fully aware of how crippling it can be, and I'm fully supportive of corrective surgery for people who are unable to live comfortably with what they're born with. And then he's like coming up with, I've never even heard of this Durkheim. What's Durkheim's theory of deviance? I just read in all this textbook shit. Just textbook shit. Oh, I'm streaming and typing, but I don't have any viewers anyway. Nobody's saying anything, so fuck it. Um, I'm dealing with a whole group here, and there's somebody who's responding to me that I'm responding to in the same conversation. This Jack person come along and so it seems to me that Tommy's saying that there are trans people who will, on the one hand, argue that their transness is valid because of the surgeries they've had, while simultaneously invalidating non-binary trans people. I'm not hearing it the way you are. That said, I'd appreciate if would maybe not invalidate any trans people, like filled with silicon homeschool or otherwise. And this is not what I said. Here's saying Tommy literally was saying that trans people who think they need an operation to be themselves have a mental aberration. It's pretty clear. No, what I said is they're constantly having to convince people that it's not. And then they turn around and tell me that I'm mentally unfit for being what I am. You need to go and do some remedial English work there, Bubba. Or whatever the fuck you are. It's unclear from what, this is not somebody who's expressing as a woman, for sure. They aren't showing the trans colors on their page. I don't know where this person's coming from, besides being just a total left winger and reactionary twit. Yeah, their relentless insults against me are not based on any kind of critical analysis of what I'm saying. They're just being cruel. You're talking shit, dude. You're just talking shit. And here it said again, Miley, she literally said that trans people struggle to prove that they're not an aberration. I'm not loving Tommy's attitude or all her ideas here, but he literally come in here looking for a fight and then said, don't debate me or I'll destroy you. I said, man, I know what you're not liking about my attitude and what you're in disagreement about here, please. I'm a walking anachronism. Genuine first generation rainbow hippie. I expect to ruffle feathers, but I also try to be kind and reasonable about it when discussing volatile issues. I'm totally supportive of the transsexuals' need for surgery because I live with raging GD myself. And if not for a deal made with my ancestors, I would have done it decades ago. I don't want to have to repeat that, but I don't ever want to see it misquoted. What I object to is the outright hostility some of them show toward every non-operative transgender person, and I definitely don't like getting jumped for saying something I didn't say. Just seem really derisive and judgmental toward people who are different than you. The homeschool comment, the comment about ugly people filled with silicon, etc. It's 2 out of a lot of the comments, but that's okay. It's Jack. When I'm regularly attacked for saying things that I did not say by people in denial of their own hypocrisy and inconsistencies, and labeled with some pretty horrifying and false labels projected at me by perverts in denial of their own disgusting acts, it can be difficult to be gracious at all times. Have you ever heard of the Kiwi Farms? I'm one of their favorite lolcows. They have a mad Truscum who rages at me everywhere he can get away with it, all day, every day. I probably would have been much kinder about things if Mila hadn't been made that insipid boast about debating them. I have a BS in marine biology and several years on a research bench at a prestigious medical school, in addition to over 50 years of independent journalism. I'm a lot more interested in knowing what points I've made that you disagree with than discussing anybody's character. And as long as I mentioned the Mad Truscum, let's go back there and let me read this. I have not read this. I just looked at it and went, oh my God, again. This person, David Price, also known as Destiny or Dee Price, it's just one sick fuck. It's a raging, angry, frustrated, perennial pre-op, dishonest, lies about themselves. I'm just totally angry, mean, confrontational asshole, and a real sick motherfucker. Because here is like this came out of their mind. Okay, I'm going to read something that came out of somebody else's mind, claiming to be talking about me in a factual manner. Tom and Lady had come back from a long day of raiding dumpsters and begging for change on the corner. Tom tried desperately play a sax. He was great in his demented mind, daydreaming about the day he found Sabrina asleep and got on top and had his way with the poor 13-year-old. This is not a true statement. I walked into a place I was staying with a woman who had a 4-year-old child, and Sabrina, who was not quite 16, had been staying with us for a week. And when I walked in one afternoon, she was in the bed with Megan, and they invited me in, and I accepted the invitation. And Megan cut the whole thing off real quickly because I was paying too much attention to Sabrina. End of story. With the dog, this is a companion dog. She was extremely protective, and she liked to get off. And people gave her their hand or their leg to hump on. Nobody was getting off on the dog. They were helping the dog get off. Period. End of that story. But now here's the story of David Bryce claiming to be me, talking about me. And this is and he's thinking it's not libel. This is libel, Dave. I'm sorry, it's just fucking libel. It's absurd and it's libel. But now it was the end of the day. He was so ready to kick back, relax, and get him some, as he put it, dog pussy. Tom was proud of the work he was doing. Lady was a great guard dog, and well, she kept Tom excited and horny. Tom had spent many long days and nights grooming Lady to be his unwilling sex partner. He taught her to let him rub her to get her excited. Now, in public, that is as far as it went. But once he got her alone, it was a full-on hump fest. Old Tom would think, as he was pounding away, is how he loved fucking Lady, and she was the best fuck he ever had. Well, other than that one time he got that sleeping teen alone and molested her. But it was the second best sex he ever had. This guy's an incel who's probably never had sex with anybody but his own hand. Tom would be panting and howling like a dog as he bumped ugly with the poor abused dog. Bumped ugly? It was a foul, disgusting sight to have the misfortune of stumbling onto. Years passed until Lady and Tom fell into a routine. Tom really loved going to someone's yard, shitting in it, and then publicly humping his dog lover, all the while howling like a wild dog in heat. Years passed, and poor Lady endured the most depraved sex acts imaginable. Old Tom was a weird, perverted freak. When it came to acts he would commit on Lady, they were unspeakable and horribly depraved, with Tom no limit to the level of depravity he'd sink. Old Tom was a vile pervert, and several times Tom nearly got caught, and people still look for the weird hunchback man that was running around half naked, acting like a dog, all while fucking his poor Doberman female. The years of fucking Lady Tom become bold, as he thought if it feels good to do it. He did a lot with Lady, and now it's just some normal act to take his dog lover. And for more perverse thrills, Tom would do it in a strange neighborhood out in the open so people could see what a great fuck dog made once trained. The abuse in the end was too much, and Lady died from complications of a torn vaginal canal and other rape-related injuries. No, Lady died because she was shot with a tranquilizing dart by animal control, who was wrongfully called on the dogs when I moved into a new house in Memphis. They never found her body. The weird man was never found, but some leads to a Thomas J.W., but the name was incomplete from the informants. They're all mostly crackhead, drugged out hippies and transients, so not very reliable in case when called. But some still say Thomas out there fucking dogs constantly. At first I said, I will not read this latest bestiality fantasy of yours. You're a very sick man, David. And it's unfortunate with your obsessing on me, or I would merely ignore you completely. Fuck off with that TLDR noise, Thomas. We know you read every word and you're ready to shit yourself with anger. But while it's funny, you twist in the wind shitting yourself. As I have said, I have a skill you can crafting stories about. You have a skill at spewing all sorts of fucking perverted shit out of the perverted mind. And anybody know who Tuco James is? Just be glad you're not Tuco James. His story was called Tuco Pig Pussy James, the descent of one boy from boyhood to sowdom, or the father in the story, which would be funny if they did something like that to you, where it had a shock collar with a set of electrodes stuck to your pathetic balls and the ground contact was around the neck. Then every time you look, it zaps your nuts. Every time you look at a dog or child, it goes off the next time it gets started. I'm sorry, pal, but this is libel. Yep. You, Mr. Price, you're one sick pedophile dog fucker in denial projecting on me. No, Tom, I'm not what you are. I'm able to spin a tale that makes you rage, and there is no libel, Tom. Not for you, anyways, but me, that is a way different story. You libel yourself to me long ago, and you're still doing so. You really do not know how this works, do you? I have you so dead rights about some of the crap you have said on video to the text of you projecting your own deviant fantasies, deviant acts as my fantasies. No evidence to me being anything like that, Tom, of it to show that you're a dog fucking pedophile. Woof, woof. Well, Dave, you're not sane. Plain and simple, you're not fucking sane. And you're really not making me enraged. You're making a fool out of yourself. And you're going to eventually, like, cost your father a whole lot of money. So, since nobody's saying anything, and I don't really want to sit here and ramble this shit, I'm not anything that anybody calls me that's like got anything to do with any kind of really serious perversions, and it's all based on those two simple, inconsequential things about my life that cause no harm to anybody, that are, as you can hear, have been twisted beyond all semblance of reality, and by people who are just intellectually dishonest, incompetent, and lack integrity. So on that, I'm having a lot of trouble with my allergies this week. And I don't really want to be sitting here talking if I got a cough much. And like I said, since nobody's saying nothing, and I said what I want to say, just like, hey, I'm what I am. Coming here and now about it, you know, I'd rather, you know, if you have to get personal, you lost the fucking discussion. You lost the debate. Once you get personal with somebody, you've lost the debate. You're no longer talking about any kind of substantial issue. You're talking about character. And, you know, go talk about character somewhere where I don't have to, like, be irritated by it. Happy day. Thanks for watching. Bye.